do a podcast. We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast.
All right, I'll do my own bit for myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it. Get off the road.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
I'm Dave Mann.
And Dave, I have a question for you. How many Xavient developers does it take to change a light bulb? Well, you get one developer a day to give it a shot, but if you want more, you can buy light bulb tokens.
Boo.
Let's just keep Dave broken after what happened last week. Hello, everyone.
That will be a topic we discuss.
It is. It's not going to be what we talk about first. But yes, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. More like rigor mortis, seeing that intro for the first time. I do think the intro could be a little more tightly edited. I may...
Sir,
Listen.
that video was hand-chosen by the Big Nacho himself. He hand-grabbed those clips to then submit to Tom to make for us.
Yes, and I'm saying that is as good as the idea is. I could tighten that up. I was a professional editor. Anyway, hey, Tom, thank you for the work that you've done. And yeah, it was almost like a fake out of, are we back in the studio? The answer is no, not quite yet. We are not back in the Insane Games TV studio quite yet. Hoping to get there soon. Now I want nachos. No, we are still at home. There is still a lot going on in the world, so we are from our respective home studios. Dave, do you want to jump into the difficult topics first, and then we'll kind of we'll kind of ease up from there?
I'd love to.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting a buttload of dropped frames, and I want to. Okay, what is going on with my connection?
It doesn't look like it's doing anything on stream. So,
Okay. It's apparently just dropping frames here and there per second. Wow, that was a look on my face. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot going on in the world, and I don't... Go ahead.
It's June 2nd, 2020,
Yeah.
and Boater and myself, as two straight white males, could say a lot of things, but won't, because
Yeah.
we're not the voices that should say a lot of things.
Exactly. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of resources for of course this past week was a lot of protests and so forth around the issue of police brutality. And I urge you to check that out on your own. We won't talk about those events, but we will talk about how those events and things around it have affected gaming, both personally and what is and in the industry as a whole. So we're going to start actually talking about PlayStation. PlayStation issued a statement saying, "We denounce systemic racism and violence against the black community. We continue to work towards a future marked by empathy and inclusion and stand with our black creators, players, employees, families, and friends." And there are a lot of such statements that we're seeing from different companies. Certainly words are one thing, actions are another. And so shortly after that, yesterday afternoon, PlayStation made an action that actually kind of says, hey, we're taking this seriously. They said, we have decided to postpone the PlayStation 5 event scheduled for June 4th. Originally, this upcoming, I guess that would have been on Thursday, they were going to have an event where they were showing off a lot of the new games that were going to be out for the PlayStation 5. They've already announced the system, but it was going to be kind of the the E3 equivalent, because E3 isn't a thing this year, and PlayStation was always kind of doing their own thing for the past few years anyway for their own big announcements. So for the E3 equivalent, it was going to be on Thursday. They said, "We've decided to postpone that event. While we understand that gamers worldwide are excited to see PS5 games, we do not feel that right now is a time for celebration. And for now, we want to stand back and allow more important voices to be heard." Dave, discuss on this or related.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of companies that are saying a lot of things, and for now, a lot of them are saying what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're able to shake out a sincere, actual response, or in their actions they will show what that means. One such company that it's not a big thing, Boater, but I did want to just put out that somehow the game that Boater and I lampoon a lot, I play a lot too, but we still make fun of it, is Activision Blizzard
Yep.
has actually for once managed to find some bit of scrap of humanity and also some scrap of being able to act on that in an intelligible manner. And in
I'm
that
sorry,
way,
an
they
intelligible
are-
what? You kind of garbled that word, ironically.
Well, thank you for pointing out the character, but
An intelligible mambler. Continue.
exactly. They are holding off on the next season for Call of Duty Warzone
Hmm.
and for Call of Duty Mobile.
Yep.
They are calling for folks to, instead of flooding their channels with information based upon those, they are going to instead, not necessarily they as a company, because just as individuals in a company do not represent the larger company as a whole,
Hmm.
company as a whole can't necessarily voice for the entire company. So instead of filling the ethos with words of here's the new expansion, here are new skins, here's new this, they're going to pass the microphone and fill up less of social media with their things and allow for more time for other voices to be heard. Fortnite is also following suit, but did not express it in the same manner. Fortnite just put out patch notes saying, in an effort to get everything ready for Chapter 2, Season 3, we're extending Season 2 by 1 week. The new launch of Season 3 will be Thursday, June 11th. Also, make sure to check out the one-time only event live on the device, now scheduled for Saturday, June 6th at 2 p.m. They are also, though, on that same token, slowing media about it. They made that one post and then they're not inundating about announcing and things like that. So
Yeah.
both Activision Blizzard, who has a spotted past about responses and things of nature, is, in my opinion, making a fair move in the part of a Fortune 500 company. Something I did like was that just as Boater and I did St. Jude's fundraising, surprise, surprise, Reddit was able to somehow do something human-like, but not make themselves human. But they had a Street Fighters tournament that was going to benefit various charities and things like that in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. And so the head of the Reddit channel for Street Fighter pitched $200 of his own money, saying, starting off, here's what I want to put in. And then notable Street Fighter tournament players hopped in and donated. And so they raised a little over $1,500.
Nice.
Just playing random mishmashed Street Fighter rounds between famous and or upcoming competitors in the Street Fighter world. There isn't exactly news on that. There wasn't coverage based upon which or what the money was done or large donators, except for the fact that the Street Fighter tournament community really did show up and show out in that respect. And so my hat's off to you, for doing such, and doing same. Upon that, the only other thing is, as you said, Boder, Sony announced the PS5 announcements are going to get delayed, things like that. Sony is also slowing down on advertising for The Last of Us 2. They are not stopping it because the ads are already paid for, but they are not buying new contracts for those ads, to try to, again, flood social media with less of their things and allowing for more time and space for people to process the things that are happening around your neighborhood, around your county, around your country, and around the world.
Okay. The other thing that I'm going to mention is that on a personal level, Dave, a game that you and I have both played a fair amount of, though haven't quite finished yet, is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And we've both definitely enjoyed our time playing that. But when it came out, there was some discussion over whether it softballed the NYPD a little too much. And for the most part, while I was playing it, I was like, oh, it's it's focused around Spider-Man. It's his story, and they're there to serve him, whatever. But I I haven't finished the game yet. I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing, but I've been popping back every few days for it. And I think it's gonna be a while until I play it. Um, it's one of those things that it's just very uncomfortable for me because like in the game they're treated as like can do no wrong. And in general, in superhero things, like if cops are bad, it's because they're on the payroll, not anything systemic within the cops themselves, any other factors. Um, and After seeing the NYPD plow an SUV into a crowd of protesters, I'm kind of not into anything that glorifies the NYPD. Sorry to say it, but I've whether it's that game in specific or even this issue in specific, have you ever run into anything like that where like you're going along, you're enjoying a game on its own merits, and then something happens in the real world that makes you reassess how the game is treating its subject matter?
Um,
Because I feel like I've run into that a couple other times, but it was a while ago and I don't really remember off the top of my head.
Not to the caliber of the characterization of certain groups or things like that.
Yeah.
I've fortunately kind of avoided as a console player, a lot of games get severely vetted before they're even able to be viewed.
Yep.
But so nothing to that nature, except that I will say, as you get later into Spider-Man, cracks and fissures do begin to show, and this is not me going to bat for that game in the least, because there is problematic representations, but the main defense force becomes a PMC, which is an easy target in 2020. But
yeah, I mean,
at the same point,
Sable is different from NYPD, and but that's the thing is that it's like, oh well, we're gonna have people that are gonna be antagonistic here and are going to be doing these kind of totalitarian things, but the game shies away from actually having a police force do it. And for that matter, like Mirror's Edge from 2007 did the same thing. In the first mission, you're going up against cops, and they're just like armed with pistols, and things are fine. But then in the second or third mission, it's Pirandello Kruger. It's a private company, private security, that then enables the authoritarianism, and it shies away from doing doing it with the police. That said, that is a game that is more a setting made up out of whole cloth. Whereas in Spider-Man, New York is so realistic, is portrayed geographically so well, and for that aspect of it to not be as much is a bit of a tough pill to swallow. Again, I'm sure I will finish the game. It's just right now, it's not right now.
I do highly implore, I recommend you do continue it, because there is something that I like. For those of you who have watched me play the game on my channel or Insane Games TV, you know that I back the fictional character J. Jonah Jameson and his hate of Spider-Man. We created chants, things like that. And there is a speech about middle of the game that J. Jonah Jameson makes that does kind of speak to current events and things like that. However, once again, the game did not have a Simpsons-like prediction of any of these things or things like that, but it does, to a certain degree,
But by
address
having
it.
J. Jonah Jameson address it, like he's presented as a crackpot radio pundit in the game.
True.
And so anything that he says is meant to be taken as like, "Pfft, this guy, really?"
The thing I will say is they changed the tone of the program at that point, so it's no longer him being a crackpot. He's presenting himself in a very different manner, so it does take a very different tonal shift, which is the only reason I mention it.
Okay.
Because it would discredit itself if it.
Dave, I'm going to call you back in just a second because your Skype is basically just froze on me. Good? I'll call you back in a sec. We'll try that again. What a look for Dave, yeah, right? And OBS is still having okay. My computer's still having problems with whatever. Dave, you there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You froze up on me towards the end there. Yeah, I will finish Spider-Man. It's one of those things that is just not this week.
Well, yes.
It might take me a bit to get back to it. So,
Did you get any of my speaking after that, or?
I did. You were talking about like midway through the game, and it changes a bit the way that he's presented.
Okay. So what I had started to say was to get to your question was one game that I did stop playing, and you'll notice was on my channel I played a ton of Death Stranding straight up until the quarantine.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't feel right to
yeah.
be playing a game talking about staying inside, being
that's
in fear about
true.
these things. So I did shelf that game, and as things start to open back up and as things are kind of changing and tonally, I am going to jump back into that one. However, one game that I did get really iffy on in its time was 2009's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the level No Russian.
Okay.
Where, for those of you who don't
was
know,
that the infamous airport
yes,
one? Yeah.
Your character is an undercover CIA agent, and you are infiltrated into a Russian terrorist cell, and the Russian terrorist cell attacks an airport. The events unfold in such a way where your character can choose to or not partake in a mass shooting.
Yeah.
It is from start to finish. Your character takes out an automatic gun rifle, and there are civilians, there are local authorities, things like that, and so you can choose as the player to participate, to not participate, and you can choose to skip that level in its entirety, because it was a storytelling element, but it was one that even the people of Call of Duty said, listen, like,
yeah,
especially 2009 and all the things that were still happening today, but were at a forefront in its time.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I can think of. The only other one I can think of is a lot of like, I will pretty often, because of where I work and the industry I work in, I will shy away from a lot of South Park. And it's not to say that some of their material is not satire, but a majority of it, in my opinion, and you can please have a dialogue with me in chat, or if folks disagree, please find me on social media. My link is down below. I just it's pass, hard pass.
Yeah.
And so I wind up missing a lot of it. One of my friends does enjoy it, and more power to them. And so he'll send me clips of things that he thought were funny, but I don't support a lot of the writing and the direction they've chosen to go in over the years, in and out. But
more like yeah, more like rigor mortis brings up when she was looking to run a RPG game with some friends, including yours truly. One of the games that she was looking at was Everybody is John, which is a game where the players are competing within a person's head as voices trying to get him to do things. It felt
Mm.
like a terrible way to portray and roleplay mental illness, especially in Mental Health Awareness Month. Um, these things that uh, I imagine that would be compelling gameplay, but it still makes you feel gross. Yeah.
And to some they may not associate it as heavily. They may not have the experiences to say anything. So, if that is something you do enjoy, enjoy it to yourself, but
Mhm. Mhm.
know that there are going to be those that aren't necessarily as comfortable with topics or things like that, or would want to pursue further conversation. Before Boder and I do talk about more topics or things like that, Boder and I's voices do not represent that entirety of Insane Games
No,
TV. So if you take
worth
issue
noting.
with
Yeah.
something that is said on the program, our links are
Yep.
here on screen. You can reach us. We are very easily found on social media. Please add us.
Mhm.
I know one of my statements that was made many episodes ago about my feelings about the Boy Scouts of America, someone did take issue, and they contacted Insane Games instead of directly speaking to me, and threatened Yabada. But
Mhm.
so uh, yeah, uh, please, if you are a Insane Games TV viewer and you view for not this program and you don't agree with what we're saying, don't watch. But
It's this is ultimately this is as much as we're presenting news and such, we're presenting our opinions, our personal opinions as well. So,
yes. Um,
um, shall we move forward, Dave?
um, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in moving forward, we're gonna look back at the month of May, where you and I both did fundraising for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Uh, Dave, what was your goal at the outset? What did you hope to hit when you started out your month?
$500.
Yep. I set 600 because that's what I've normally been able to hit in the past. Dave, how much did you end up raising?
I was fortunate enough to have the support of the community as a whole, my community, and everyone, and we were able to raise $1,600.
More than triple your goal.
Mhm.
With my community, reaching out to friends and family and such, I was able to raise $617.24. Um, and a lot of that was because on the last day, I ran a actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf one-shot RPG, where people were able to donate and be mean to the players, and they did that a lot. Um, so St. Jude was a lot of fun again this year, and it's something that I've been furloughed for the whole month, so it meant that I was available for streaming a whole lot. Certainly it's a different environment than it was last year. But I think that it's really encouraging that even though things are harder for a lot of people, the sense of charity, the sense of philanthropy, has not gone down. That we're still able to mobilize our communities to be able to raise money like
Yes.
that.
Hell yeah. Um, the other thing, and I know you saw this, but for the folks who are watching, because a lot of you guys aren't necessarily following St. Jude's Play Live or St. Jude's Children's Hospital, was that St. Jude's Play Live during the entirety of the month of May was able to raise over $2.3 million, over $3 million, but 2.3 is the capstone because that is one entire day from top to bottom,
Hmm.
the cost of running the hospital,
Yeah.
everything.
But
$2.3
with
million a day.
individual contributions, a few people that I had donated 50, some people donated $2. All of that adds up, and through the collective effort of a whole ton of gamers, we are running everything, all operations at St. Jude for more than a day. I think almost a day and a half's worth.
Yep. By the
Um,
end of it, it was more than yeah.
and like that doesn't sound like much. Like, oh, well, okay, we ran it for a day. Well, what about the other 365 days of the leap year? Um, I mean, there are other, they fundraise year round. They have a whole bunch of different programs that go on. Play Live is one of them, but that is a day that maybe they would have been scraping by, and now they've got it. There's so many different ways that they can raise those funds, and I'm really honored to have been a part of this way.
Hell yeah.
Um, as a note for our channels, again, twitch.tv/BoaterBug, twitch.tv/DM314. One of the incentives for mine was doing a Choose Your Own Adventure video series. So Thursday night, we're going to work out the exact time, but Thursday night, Dave and I are going to be doing a stream that is much like this, us split screen talking to each other, but rather than a podcast where we need to be talking and on and like entertaining the whole time, we're going to be sitting and brainstorming some video
Eh.
ideas. I mean, we're gonna try anyway because we're gonna have cameras on us and a chat open over here, so I will be in that mode. But yeah, so like it's fun to create the incentives like that. Dave, I know that one of your incentives was T-shirts. You some of the artifacts of Insane Games TV past, the notebooks from behind the counter, things like that. A whole bunch of things that are able to be sent out to people. So
Yes.
it's been a really fun month, and I'm already looking forward to next year.
Yeah, I'm already I've already got uh already cracking down on plans for guest streams, incentives, things that I can do. And I know that oh, we reached allegedly and we were able to execute it. It was so much fun. And especially because it could not have been set up more perfectly because the allegedly term does is a trigger word for one person in our community. And when I jumped into Discord, she was the only one there. So I sat there very quietly until she realized I was there. And then she asked a question, and I answered with allegedly. And so, and then started the timer at 60 minutes. She realized what was happening and why I had asked to make sure she was there. And then CJ and Amp Slayer and John were able to jump in and help out with it.
Is that
And
something that you can like export to your YouTube channel or something so that those of us that missed it would be able to see it?
Sure,
That'd be
yeah,
awesome. That'd be awesome. The one shot RPG from Sunday night that is going to go up on my YouTube channel tomorrow at 12. So,
nice.
cool. So I mentioned shirts as one of the things that was a incentive from yours. So speaking of shirts, Dave, what's that you're wearing? Is that significant at
I'm
all?
I would think it would be, considering that Gene Roddenberry's family is going to be suing the U.S. about that Space Force flag, but that's for a different podcast. Um, this weekend and last week, if you guys did not see, um, the United States had its first space launch since 2011.
Its first
Um,
manned space launch.
yes. Um, and it was uh, due in part to someone that we have lampooned on
Mhm.
this program constantly.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
uh,
SpaceX, the SpaceX, I think it was a Falcon 9 rocket. I forget exactly which Falcon series rocket, but then with a Crew Dragon capsule, was originally going to launch Tuesday or Wednesday, was delayed because of weather, ended up launching on Saturday. And it was cool to watch. I just missed launch when I realized, oh crud, this is happening, and I caught it as they were in orbit and separating from the second stage. But like it was really cool because number one, we don't have to go international to get our own astronauts into orbit again. Because again, the space shuttle was canceled and decommissioned without a manned crew replacement in the works. So we've been going to Russia and paying for seats on Soyuz capsules So now we're able to launch from American soil, get American astronauts up there, and it's being done with private industry rather than through the federal government. Now, your thoughts on that? That might be a good thing that we're able to see this kind of democratize out, or that might be like, I don't know about launching people to space without the federal government being like, I mean, it's still a NASA thing. It was still a NASA mission, but the manufacturing was done by SpaceX. Not just of the rocket and the capsule, but like the really sci-fi looking spacesuits. I mean, the spacesuits that shouldn't be sci-fi, but frankly, we're still most up to now mostly been. Whoa. Up to now, we've mostly been using like spacesuit hardware from the 60s with just a little bit of dusting off and touching up little things. This is built from the ground up, and it looks like the sci-fi of the 60s. So we basically just 2001 our way back into orbit.
Yep. Um,
And I hope that
I am
comparison doesn't come back
really-
to bite us.
I am
Monolith
really
systems.
excited that SpaceX is able to succeed in its endeavors. When I was in middle school, I remember watching the Falcon spaceship doing the first ever private shuttle launch and putting a man into orbit that wasn't representing a nation. And that was exciting as hell. And all of my teachers were very supportive. We watched the launch in the classroom and all these things, and it was really cool. And I felt a little bit of joy in the fact that on Wednesday, when it was originally launching, we watched the entirety of the coverage during my daycare, and my students were able to ask questions. The excellent thing about the fact that this was a part of NASA and SpaceX was they had so much coverage and they had
yeah.
interactivity spots, so we were actually able to get a question out and answered by someone in
that's
the
awesome.
ethos to my kids. It wasn't during the broadcast, but they were
still.
asking questions about what does this mean, or why is that guy wearing that shirt, or things like that. And then we were able to sit there for the entirety of Wednesday watching the countdown happening, looking at the employees getting in doing their various jobs and
Yeah.
things like that. So it was exciting, it was big, and I look so much forward to seeing what that means for future flight. And if sometime, maybe Insane Games TV goes on a spaceship flight, who knows?
Can you imagine us trying to cover actual topics while we're in zero G?
I mean,
Hold on, Dave. Dave, can we do a broadcast from a vomit comet?
It'll just be
Wee!
a lot
Oh no!
Wee!
Wee! Oh,
just
I
all
want
the
that.
wee. What a time it would be.
Speaking of shirts, this came in yesterday, but you've probably seen the little thing ticking up at the bottom saying that there's merch, and certainly you've been seeing it pop up in chat. But I am wearing one of the Citadel t-shirts. So, hooray! These are available to purchase at the Insane Games TV merch store. Although I know that our bot just dropped in the link, I'm going to do so as well. There's a ton of really cool ones up there. I mean, the one for the Citadel is clearly the best, but that might just be because we don't have a Nerd Glasses design up there yet. So.
I don't know. I like the showers maketh man. That's really doing it for me.
Yeah,
The
I
Retro
really like
Wednesday
a lot
design
of
I really like.
and yeah, I'll accept a tie with the Weekend Wednesday design.
That one I really love, and that one was made with heart and feeling about the Weekend Wednesday, but that design I like.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to
So
ask about one of the designs. I don't really get the joke, but
yeah, I mean a lot
uh,
of these
that'll-
are and like some of them might just straight up be like jokes from those programs. Like I kind of wish I could have the hours in the day to watch all the programs. I don't. But it's I like that there is such a variety. Whereas like I've got uh, you know, my there's a small community and some jokes for the Citadel. There's some for Nerd Glasses here. All of a sudden I want popcorn chicken. There's some for Weekend Wednesday, and same thing there is that there's some for Shoot and Loot, Dream Team. Like they've got their own things going, and I really like that we've got all these different little communities, and that we can kind of cross-pollinate and share our communities. So.
Which goes into the idea of, by the way, if you haven't yet hit that little, actually now it's bottom left. It's not top left
Is it?
anymore.
What? Heresy. No, it's still top right. If you're on desktop, it's in the top right.
It is?
Yeah.
For me it's down there, and I'm on desktop as well.
I wonder if it depends on how big your window is, or if it's like Facebook and it rolls out its changes slowly over users.
In either case, ladies and gentlemen,
look for a little heart
screen,
button, hit that to
somewhere,
follow.
There's a heart button, and even if you are not a fan of this nerd duo, there are much more handsome and infinitely talented folks on this network, and I highly recommend you do follow them. And if you usually tune in for one program, for our communities here, tune in for one just for 5 minutes. And come back at us and let us know what you thought.
Oh yeah.
Constructive criticism is always appreciated.
If you guys pop in and say, "Wow, you guys totally should have seen what Dream Team did this past week," kind of thing, we'd love to hear it. Dave, is there any news that we can share regarding the future of the channel? I know that there's some discussion going on. Dan put something up on Instagram earlier today. Is there anything that we can share, or shall we just refer people to Instagram.com/InsaneGamesTV?
Yeah, Instagram.com. It appears, unfortunately, my time of making announcements for Insane Games TV is starting to come to a close, which, as much as I miss doing it, Dan is the Nacho, the chief, and so you're getting the word from the horse's mouth.
That's fine. That's good to see. Okay, so Dave, I feel really left out because last week I was not here for the Nerd Glasses podcast. I had a throat cold. I ended up watching from home, and oh man, what a conversation you had. Do you want to talk about those a little bit?
No, I don't. No, I don't want to talk about that at all, actually.
Really?
I do want to say thank you very much to John Vladdy93, as some people know him in chat, for filling in the co-chair. I really appreciate you being so willing to help out in a time of need. So thank you, man.
Yeah. You guys talked about 3 games, and I'm going to drag this in here just real quick. First one
Thank you, Nancy, for the link to Instagram, by the way.
The first one was The Culling. And Dave, can you, in 10 words or less, tell us your thoughts on The Culling?
Bad. Bad. Surprising.
Yeah, it for those that missed last week, they basically announced a model where you pay $6 for the game and you get to play one match of the game. It's a battle royale game. You get to play one match. And then you have to pay for more matches each day. You get one match a day. Now, because clearly nobody outside the company thought that was a good idea. There was immediate backlash. And actually, by the time of the Nerd Glasses discussion last week, they had already walked that back and said, okay, you get 10 free games a day, then you got to pay for more tokens. Which probably 10 games is all it takes to say, no, this game is actually probably garbage.
That seems about right.
I think that's all we got to say about The Culling. It's just that it was an audio-only episode, and there was mass clamor within chat to say, Dave, please turn on your webcam. And it was a thing of beauty.
I'm actually starting to get another migraine again.
Then let's move
partially, No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no.
Okay.
I would love to bring up one thing, which is that stupidity like that is infectious. And as much as I was saying last week that I expected Activision Blizzard or Epic Games or someone to jump onto that, um, Ubisoft couldn't help
Oh
themselves, and they just
no.
had to. So they released a presser for a game called Trackmania,
Oh,
and
okay.
mm, sorry, because it's very relevant to this.
I really like
Um,
Trackmania. Continue.
and they had a pricing scheme. And it said the game base will be free, but for full access to the track editor, the point of Trackmania,
Yeah.
it'll be $10 a year, while full-on club access, which includes admission to special racing leagues, exclusive skins, and that sort of thing, will be $30 a year.
I
And
hate games as service with I hate anything that's subscription based. I never got into WoW.
it,
I never played any subscription based MMO.
but listen to this though.
I don't wanna.
Upon being told, "Oh, I can't believe you guys are doing the subscription model." This is a direct quote from someone within the company.
Okay.
Actually, it's not a subscription model, but an access to the game for a limited time. Sync that in, but wait, there's more. You pay for having access, he mansplains, to the game for one period, and that's it. When the time is over, you can buy the game again for the time that you want to access it again. Ubisoft, you're
And what
fired.
was the reaction to that?
Um, bad. It was very bad, and so
And what did
where
Ubisoft do
is
about that?
the managing director clarified on Twitter
That it's a subscription.
in Trackmania, quote, "You will keep the 100 official plus the 365 tracks of the day on your yearly access that is related to the track offline game content." He wrote, "The question is that for online games that can benefit from support for years, it is the best model for each game." They basically admitted Trackmania Nations remake is in fact subscription based, but added it's not the point.
Okay, so it is for a Trackmania Nations remake. I still have Trackmania Nations. The thing with TN is that it was a free game. Trackmania 1, 2, 3, whatever, they were a pay once and be done with it. Trackmania Nations had a huge following because it was a free game. And I don't think that it's going to do nearly as well with a subscription as it did without.
I just want one facet of my career, be it IRL, video games, work. I want one of them to stop it.
Yeah.
Because, yikes.
I know what the point is. Pick me, pick me. Anti-Claus, you have the floor. It doesn't surprise me. Ubisoft just I didn't know that Ubisoft was. Did they pick up the Trackmania thing? Because they weren't the publisher for that for a while. They must have picked it up. That's a great
I believe
idea.
that they did pick it up. Because
Specifically to
Ubisoft is
monetize it,
trying
because
to...
like Trackmania was its own thing. The developers were their own thing. The point is, don't support Ubisoft. See, of the three big ones, Ubisoft is like the third worst. They are not the worst. They are not in second place.
Yes, they are in fact the lesser of three Weevils. Well, technically four. Activision Blizzard is technically two, but
No, that is Activision.
they take up two seats at the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta say, speaking of lesser Weevils, Boater, you'll be very disappointed to hear something.
Go ahead.
We almost didn't get an EA Madden game going forward.
No.
It almost didn't happen. EA almost
How could they?
bungled
What would
the
we do?
licensing. But don't we worry, because as today, May 28th, announced per source, NFL owners just voted to approve the extension of their deal with Electronic Arts EA, as this one will run through the 2025 season and through 2026 if the revenue markers are hit. So fret ye not, folks. The licensing for NFL and the official channels
And that is still
are
like
going to stay
exclusive, right?
in the very capable hands of almost got
So,
through that
like
whole-
in the early 2000s,
Um,
the NFL license wasn't exclusive. There were a couple different NFL games. There was the Madden series, but then I think I don't know if it was 2K. Yeah, 2K. Like I think were there NFL 2K games? I know that there was like an NFL 2001 or something like that at
There-
one point.
there was NFL 2K games, and then EA got the exclusive contract and pushed 2K out of football.
Yeah, I think it went up to 2K6. But yeah, so and I assume that this current contract is still exclusive, which is, not good for the players, but
Yes,
since
it
when has the
is.
NFL ever cared about players?
Mm.
That worked
Yeah,
really well, Boater.
yeah.
Where the frick did that come from?
uh,
Okay. Before we get off the topic too much, another one that you guys discussed last week was Maneater. And you guys didn't discuss it so much as just like over the trailer of it. In Maneater, you play a shark that grows to grotesque proportions and eats people. And in the past week,
eats
actually,
all the people, sir.
yeah.
All
So
the
it
people.
it came out like early May, or mid-May. You guys talked about it last week, and then actually the next day, Jacksepticeye started putting out a video series of it. The third one went up a couple days ago, and Steph and I have been watching that. It looks so much fun. Oh my god! I mean, like it looked good in what you were and what you had shown first. But then, like, actually seeing the gameplay of it and someone playing, it's like, oh, well, oh no, he's wrestling with the camera a lot. Welcome to now in gaming. But otherwise,
I mean, if we think about it, like physics underwater and physics in space are very hard. Camera physics are very
Yeah.
hard to nail down without making it feel like you're not in that space.
well, and his main complaint was about the camera staying locked on to enemies. And since, like, if you're playing something like Free Space or something like that, you have a radar. So your camera is always fixed forward, or if it's a third-person camera, it's up behind you and off you go. Man, I really want to play Freelancer again. This is how Doom starts. Anyway, like you still know that something's behind you. There's indicators or something. This game has no indicators, and the lock-on camera only somewhat works.
Auntie, so you really do have to go up to space to prove that point.
We need to do an episode from space and see how the cameras behave.
And
For
we'll have to do
science!
just a bunch of, you know what? It'll just be an episode, unfortunately, of the two of us giggling and also going, space, space. We're in space.
Yeah. And possibly one of us or both of us getting motion sick or space sick, I guess.
Very probable. Very
I
probable.
really want to be in 0G. Anyway, so Maneater, you guys talked about it. It looks really fun. I just wanted to mention that. And then the last thing that you guys mentioned last week before the end of the episode, because you talked about the culling for an entire hour, but without the Citadel being on, you guys went a little over time, which is totally fine. And you used some of that time to talk about the new Predator DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, give it to us. You've played it.
It's wonderful. It's exactly what you would want on the return of a sci-fi character that has not been represented since late 90s. Canonically, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, Dutch, from the Predator franchise, is now back. And he is old, crotchety, and exactly what you would want to implement into a game where he deploys with 3 other green bloods. And it's so much fun. for $8 to get Arnold Schwarzenegger voice lines, and I mean actual Arnie voice lines, not just not just video clips from the films or quotes. It was so much fun, and I look forward to seeing what the future DLCs bring to this game. The physics and mechanics have been really patched up and really fixed. Unfortunately for myself and Anti-Cost Prime, who have been trying to take advantage of that crossplay that they advertised, it's still not working. I, as a PlayStation owner, can't find the computer owner, and he can't find me. But when you're playing the games, you will play with PC and console mixed.
Okay.
They'll just automatically do it.
So it's crossplay like that, but the social aspects of the crossplay aren't quite working yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I can't choose who's on. I can choose who's on my team, but it can only be through PlayStation Network. But the physics in this game themselves, there's a lot of other things that weren't working. The lobbies are no longer crashing. Graphics are loading much better. And everything is running way more smoothly than it did before. So good on everyone involved with Predator Hunting Grounds. Please continue on this trend of providing value and fixing what is still not yet in earnest a good game. It's not a good game. It can be if they fix a lot of these things. Because once you really get the features that they've advertised back in the hands of the players, it will be a good game. But because both Auntie and I love the idea of killing a predator and we're running around the jungle squealing like school children, like I cannot tell you the day that came out and I debuted it on Sunday of Services for Insane Games TV, I had to wait an entire 2 days not to play it. And I could not have squealed any louder as I ran through the jungles with a minigun screaming quotes. Isn't that right, Savannah? She decided she wanted to make an appearance.
She looks very pleased.
She'll bill you later, Voter. Don't worry.
Okay. Let's see. A couple more. Oh, here's one, Dave. When you watch Twitch, when you watch other programs, whatever, you get ads before, before starting up a broadcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this goes to chat as well. Is there a particular ad that you've grown sick of, or just you really don't like?
I mean, I don't like the oh, I can't even begin to think about some of these, but yeah.
Have you gotten a Twitch ad from Bounty recently?
No.
Okay. It basically it plays out. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking here. But the way it plays out is that there's like 3 streamers playing a game, and then one of them knocks over his Twitch branded cup, and oh no, there's stuff spilling everywhere, and chat erupts with Bounty, Quicker Picker Upper, QPU for Quicker Picker Upper, and he takes his bounty roll and cleans it up. All right, cool. They get back to playing. And it is so stupid. I mean, like, it's I'm sorry. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Yes, on Vimeo.
Twitch is getting ads for
So it's put out as
products.
Something that is like Twitch affiliated. Let me just kind of put this here, and Dave, I will drop the link to you in the Skype chat. But no, what is going on? Okay. Because it's dumb that I should be like upset about this. This is one of those things where I'm just like irrationally upset about something, because you need to be upset at irrational things every now and then. And
Quick, I need help.
It's like, they're making call outs to each other. They're talking, and oh no, something spills all over the mouse. And of course the problem here is that you don't see the game they're playing.
A spill?
It's a
Okay,
Twitch
you-
stream. It's supposedly a Twitch stream.
That's right.
There
Chad.
is no
You gotta
gameplay.
have a bounty to your
It's
battle
just a bunch of
station.
faces
Let's get back into this.
in a very clean
Guys,
setup.
I'm
To be
so not over
fair,
here.
to be fair, there
Bounty,
are
the quicker
like
picker-upper.
streamers that have that clean for their gaming area. There's no gameplay. It's very clearly made in conjunction with Twitch. Because it uses like the Twitch chat, whatever. It has Twitch branded stuff in it. At no point, apparently, did Twitch say, should we at least put some BS gameplay footage in there? I mean, there's 3 of them. You can have gameplay in one corner and then their faces. No, I
But-
love watching people's faces while they play games without knowing what the game is. I'm here for the faces. Andy Claus says,
But-
my IQ sank seeing this. I hate ads.
I don't. Savannah, hold me.
Yay, I've broken. Yay, I had my turn to break Dave.
I don't. So that ad was poorly designed, because I understand that there are many people in this world that are they're not actors, but that was the most like
Oh yeah, yeah.
like,
Like it's not as bad as stock footage of someone typing on a keyboard with their fingers not actually depressing any keys. Oh, Dave knows what game they played. The Culling. They got their one game in.
no, they were not.
Merge the hatred.
No one
Merge the
played
hatred.
In fact, next year at the $1,000 rate, that's the game I'm going to stream if we make it.
The Culling. Oh my gosh. Do you think the game will still be around?
I have
Hope not.
every feeling it will cockroach its way.
Yeah, because this is its 3rd iteration. It was a paid-for game, then it did a free-to-play model. Now it's going to a subscription model. It'll cockroach its way back. If not next year, then for the year after.
It will not be around, says Auntie.
That's wishful thinking.
Yeah, as Builder and I have dropped many, many, many things on stream, either here in the man cave at the
Boater basement? I don't know. I don't have a term for it.
the Fortress of Steftitude.
You're gonna laugh in a few seconds.
And that's what it's going to be.
There it is.
Subboteria, I like it.
Oh, I like it.
Um,
It's like
yeah,
I
like-
use Boteria as like a place name in like my Animal Crossing island, but Subboteria, I like it. Speaking of Animal Crossing, real quick. June started a new event, whereas the last event was the Museum Day thing. Now it's wedding season, and so you
Ooh.
get to go to the photography island where you have a bride and a groom, or rather a husband and a wife, who say, hey, we're doing our anniversary photos and we want you to be the photographer. So they give you a bunch of props and you can position them. And I worked as a wedding videographer, which is wedding photographer adjacent, for 6 years. So like I have things in my head for what I might do. Like today was like, oh, we're going to recreate our reception. So I created a shot. I don't think that I have it ready, so it's not worth me going out of the way for. I created a shot of just hey, that's the groom hitting the bride in the face with the cake. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I don't have that ready. That's fine. But as much as I'm like, haha, I'm going to do these things that are actually based on wedding photos and carefully set up me as the DJ laughing in the back while it's happening, other people took a different tactic. Well, how heteronormative Animal Crossing, especially for Pride Month? Well, the nice thing about Animal Crossing is that users will do whatever they want. I was supposed to get married last month, so wedding season might have been a little triggering. I'm fine. This is fine. You can use any of your own props. And so people are making like dungeons for the happy bride and groom. They're making marriages in hell. They are making marriages attended by many, many scorpions. It's the fun thing about a. This is from Polygon, by the way. Polygon had an article where they posted, where they aggregated a whole bunch of different things, where someone stole the groom from the bride. Yeah, and then there's the other end of that relationship. So just a lot of fun things. Um, I That's the nice thing about user generated content is that no matter how much you plan for things to be one way, your users not only can but will do things differently. Um,
I like the divorce paper signing.
yeah, yeah, that was really well staged. They used emotions to really good effect there. This game will keep
And the
popping
fact
up
that
in
they're
the months
both
to come.
still
Oh, yeah.
in their wedding attire, like
Meanwhile, like I'm sitting here like I want to invite the villagers from my island to sit in as as wedding guests on the benches, and it's like nope, can't do that. So I'm running up against limitations. Meanwhile, the real artists are out here making art. And on that note, Dave, I know we had a lot of things that we wanted to talk about, and we did mention Death Stranding. I think that we were going to get a little more in depth, but unfortunately, didn't
oh
happen.
no.
Oh
I'm
no.
so sorry, Death Stranding. We'll book you in for next week though.
Yep.
I know, Savannah, you were so excited to talk about Norman. We did, yes we were.
We are going to have to call that a wrap on the Nerd Glasses podcast for this week. Thank you to everyone that has joined us.
A bit of a teaser for next week though. As things are reopening, one of the people I work with at the daycare does own her own hair salon. And since we're doing the daycare in a building that teaches people how to do hair and things like that,
Mhm.
Mr. Mann might be getting a haircut from his students this week,
Ooh.
depending on how things go. So make sure to tune in next week on Insane Games TV here on the Nerd Glasses or on affiliated
Yep.
channels down below for further updates.
Yeah. And we'll have to make Dave take off the hat so that we can give a perfect 12 out of 10 score to the kids, no matter what it looks like. Love a good before and after. Dave, take off the hat right now so that we get the before shot.
So by the way, there was a whole big fanfare during St. Jude's when I did the makeup stream where I put on the dun 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 dun, and I hammed it up for like 2 minutes. But here is
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I will say, it made for a really good effect when you turned on the webcam last week. Just the insanity hair everywhere. Oh, that long, beautiful hair. So we'll see what happens to it next week. So be sure to follow, whether your button is down here or up there. Make sure to follow, subscribe if you are the sort, to catch us here at Insane Games TV. There's a ton of really cool stuff on the entire network. And coming up right after the Nerd Glasses podcast, what's going to happen is that we are going to go offline. I invite you to go get some water, grab something to drink, or the other way around if you need to let something go. Because after about 2 minutes, the Citadel will be starting back up with its 10-minute countdown. And on the Citadel, we will be playing We Happy Few. I'm hoping to finish Arthur's story in We Happy Few this week. We've been playing this one a lot, and there are two other storylines, two other campaigns in the game. But once we finish Arthur's, we're probably going to take a break from We Happy Few for a while, focus on Dragon Age and Bard's Tale, maybe add Two Human. I don't know. Two Human's one that I'm going to want to focus on when we get to it, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, tonight is going to be We Happy Few, and I hope to see some of you there right here at Insane Games TV. So from all of us here, it's still singing hair. Shevlin Dan on the belated congrats to St. Jude's, both of you, by the way. Great job. Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about it here at Insane Games TV and talk about
And
what we're
for the
doing on our
support.
own. Yeah, absolutely. Time for tea and scotch and We Happy Few in whatever ratios you like. So, yes, thank you to everybody that has been here today, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Bye, everybody!